Alright guys, working on Night Owl this evening. Got my new distributor I'm going to be installing. I'm going to be removing the one that I've got in right now, using this one as a backup. I'm going to be using the coil as a backup as well. I went with the pertronix, basically a 009 distributor, but it's the pertronix 3. The igniter 3. Basically, you have the 009, which I've heard has a major flat spot at the takeoff. Then they did the igniter 1, which I've heard has issues as far as burning up the module. And then they went into the igniter 2, which is supposed to remedy that feature, where it doesn't burn up if you leave the key on. And then the nice thing about the igniter 3 is that it's tunable. You see that screw right here? You can actually tune it to where you put your max RPM that you want on your car. And this is a little light for that as well, and I'll show you how to do all that. So I'm going to be putting in that distributor, and I also got a new high current flamethrower pertronix coil. It's got screw-on terminals. Okay, this is the 60,000 volt E-core coil. Basically, by doing this one, if you look there, there's actually 32 ohms right there. It makes it so the spark will recharge faster. And then also by putting this one in, you can actually spread your gap, I've heard, to 50 thousandths. I'm putting mine at 40, just because I don't want to push the gap on that. Normal bugs are 25, so you can almost open it up double. But anyways, so I've opened mine up to 40 with this new coil. I'm hoping to get faster, longer spark, and then this distributor that they've rebuilt. It's not a rebuilt, excuse me. That they made to where it takes the flat spot out of the 009. So let's go ahead and get going on this. I'll wire it up and show you how to set your RPMs. Okay, so there's two ways that you can set your RPMs on these guys. You can take it and install the whole distributor into the car, wire it all up, and then do all your tuning in the car. Or you can get a 9-volt battery. See, one side has the negative, one side has the positive. These things will allow you to program them with a 9-volt battery. The thing with the 9-volt battery, it'll take a little time to charge up the coil inside, but it can be done. So let's go ahead and I'll walk you through that. So the great thing about the igniter 2 and 3, I know the 3 has this, I believe the 2 has it as well. If you take your positive and negative and wire them backwards, so you'd normally wire the red to a positive, the black to a negative. If you do it opposite, where the red is now negative and the black is now positive, I believe this has a module inside to correct that, but don't quote me on that, because you still could burn it up. Always good to wire hot to red, negative to black, or ground to black. So what we're going to do is, obviously you're going to take your cap off, you're going to take your rotor off, and then the dust cap, which I've already have off. You're going to take your 9-volt battery, positive, there's negative. You're going to take your negative and wrap it around the negative side terminal. Get yourself some alligator clips. Okay. Then you're going to take the positive and go around the positive terminal. Okay. So we'll just let that sit for a minute. Let it charge up. Alright, so now that I have power coming to the module, what you're going to be looking for is the long blinks and the short blinks. Every long blink represents 1,000 RPMs. Every short blink represents 100 RPMs. So in this case, wait till it stops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 7,600 RPMs. It's way too high for VW. So basically, to turn it down, you're going to take this little screw right here and turn it counterclockwise. It's very sensitive, so you just want to do a little bit, but because I'm way too high, I cranked it a little bit more than I probably should have, but that's fine. You're going to go clockwise to turn up the RPMs, counterclockwise to turn them down. So you can see here, that's 4,800 RPMs. I think that's about where I'm going to leave it off at. Go ahead and give it a count here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4,800 RPMs. So at that point, it's set. We're going to go ahead and disconnect the battery. At this point, we can put it back in the car. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the other one and then install this guy. Now, one thing to note. Okay, so one thing to remember about the 009s versus the stock distributor is when you pull your stock distributor out, your number 1 spark plug is pointed towards you and to the right. On the 009, and the pertronix is actually in a 009 system, your number 1 is going to be towards the front driver side, or excuse me, front passenger side. So basically it's going to take your number 1 and rotate it 90 degrees. So all the other wires that are connected, just rotate. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do before I start removing anything is I want to make sure that I am sitting on the number 1 top dead center. Okay, so however you like to spin your pulley, it's up to you. Just make sure you're top dead center. See how I'm going backwards? I want to bring it around. Okay, so there's number 4. And coming around. There is the number 1 top dead center. Okay. You can see that in there. Top dead center on the case. Okay. It's a little tough to see, but see if you can see the case. Sorry about the shakiness, guys. So there's actually a crack in the case right here, and that's where you're going to want to line up to. this right here is a stock firing order on stock distributor. You have the one in the back corner, passenger front, driver back. Okay. When we install this one, we're just basically going to do that. So this 1 comes over to here, 2 goes over there, 3, 4. So if I were to trace that out, this one is the number 1. Okay, so if I pull on that cable, it's going to come over here, and there's numbers on your 10. You have number 1, number 2, number 4, number 3. Okay, trace that out, and that's how the wiring is going to be. So right now I'm just going to leave this dangle. With the new pertronix, I got to put a different tip on here, and I'll show you how to do those. But first, I want to get that coil installed here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that installed. Okay, so I think that's the location I'm gonna install this guy in. Alright guys, so what you're going to need for this part, you can try to uncrimp that guy, or you can just cut it back. Basically you're going to need to cut it back enough to where you can get about 1/2 inch of that center wire poking out so you can wrap it back around. So, to make it easy, just go ahead and do that. You just want to crimp it down. And you want to make sure it's nice and snug. Okay. That's probably good enough. Actually, no, I want this down a little bit more. Okay, so now you want to be able to get this boot on. Now you may need to get grease, you may not. We'll see what happens here. And you're just going to push it in, work it on down. So you see it's all the way deep inside that grommet. You want to make sure that the opening's pointed towards the 90 so that you can plug it onto your coil. So let's go ahead and put it onto the coil and see what we have. Okay, so before you go ahead and plug it in, if you have an ohm meter, you want to ohm it out. I'm not sure what the numbers are going to be. They're different for each size wire that you're dealing with. But in most cases, a wire you actually hear a tone. In this case, you're gonna see the ohms go up when they touch both sides. So 233 ohms. Okay, that basically tells you that you were able to wire it in properly and it will work. So let's go ahead and get this thing off of the car. Alright, so you guys don't have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 wires here in shrink tubing. The only reason why I want to do that is to, for one, protect it from the elements, and then also kind of hide the wires a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is figure out the length I need, feed it from behind here, and then wire them on. And then at that point I'll figure out the length I need of the shrink wrap. So, on top of this flamethrower HC coil, there's two posts. One's a positive, one's a negative. Obviously, the red's going to go to positive. I don't know if you can see those posts. See, there's the positive, there's the negative. So I'm going to put my red lead to the positive and the black lead to the negative. Okay. Power lead's going to come from the battery just for test purposes. Later on it'll be switched to my ignition. Okay, so it seems like my video decided to stop recording partial the way through, so let me finish you up here. I did a few jumpers to go to my fuel pump and to hook into my hot lead coming in just for testing. These two jumpers will be getting removed. Okay, that will become one line that's going to go up to the key. This is just a ground, just so I can run my pump. All this, like I said, is just for testing. Okay, when all said and done, I will remove those and just have one lead. So what's left is to do my timing on the distributor. Now I know that generally this will sit somewhere in here, but I'm not 100% sure, so we'll go ahead and start it up and then see how advanced or retard it is. So what you're going to want to do, because this is a vacuum advance, you're going to want to remove your vacuum line, okay, completely. Plug this off, turn on your the car and have it run, and then you're going to set your timing to 5 degrees over TDC, top dead center. Once that is set, go ahead and reconnect, and when it runs, you should be right in where it needs to be as far as running properly. So